is close to the source of hidayat. When a believer is close to the source of hidayat. So in the times of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was the person that was getting that hidayat. And the people around him, they are the ones getting close to the source of hidayat. In our times, it would be our teachers, our shuyukh, our spiritual guides, murabbi, sheikh, whatever you want to call them. So one dilemma that a person faces is when a person is close to their guide, A or B could happen. A or B could happen. A is a person gets amazingly good spiritual thoughts. Call it ilham. Ilham is a term that is used for common believers when they get good thoughts, not wahi. Wahi is to the prophets. Ilham is beautiful thoughts that a common believer can get. So, when a person is close to the source of guidance, he could get ilham often. So let's have an example of that. When the Sahaba radiallahu anhum finished making Madinah Munawwara Masjid, the Masjid Nabawi, they started thinking, how do we call the believers to Salat? They didn't have the azan system. So they had a mashwara, meeting, whatever you want to call it. They brainstormed, they thought about it, and said, how are we going to call the Muslims? So some said, oh, we can beat the drum or have a bell. So they said, no, but that's going to make us similar to other religions. Or make a smoke signal. So they said, no, that doesn't sound right also. So they were told, go home and think about it. The Sahaba went home that night. Up to 11 Sahaba had the same type of dreams. Up to 11 Sahaba had the same type of dream where they hear a person saying the azan, and the azan was never done till that day. So Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, they were being taught that in their dreams. So the next day when they come, one Sahabi brings it up and says, I saw a dream where the angel came, started saying Allahu Akbar, and they started saying these words. And suddenly so many Sahaba said, wait, I had the same dream, I had the same dream, I had the same dream. 11 people said we had the same dream. In social media language, they call it save wavelength, where your brains are working at the same spiritual level, you start seeing the same dreams. Because the ruh, they're like mirrors, they connect with each other. So you'll see things that you are thinking about spiritually, ruhani dunya, you get connected. So that means when a person is close to the Nabi, the source of wahi, they start getting ilham, amazing dreams, amazing thoughts. And then it's the Nabi's job to encourage the person and say, good, let's do this, this, this. But sometimes that encouragement has a negative side effect. That encouragement has a negative side effect. Why? Because when we give love and attention to someone, they start acting out of line sometimes. They start acting out of line. If you hold your child and start playing with your child, they're like, Daddy, give me candy. You're like, huh? I just give you one kiss. So when you start playing with your child, the first thing they think about is, let me abuse and let me quickly get something out of my dad and mom. So the word in our language is naz. Naz, when you give naz to someone, instantly they start acting spoiled. That's why one Sahabi, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was so sweet to him. So sweet to him. He started thinking, I have to be the most religious person in the Muslim community. So he came and did a survey with the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, oh, am I better or is Abu Bakr better? And Nabi Sallallahu said, no, Abu Bakr is better in the spiritual ranks. Then he's thinking, no, I have to be number 2 at least because Nabi Sallallahu loves me so much. He gives me so much love and attention. So he goes, oh, am I better? Is Umar the one who better? He's like, no, Umar is better. And the Sahabi says, I felt so embarrassed, I just be quiet. So what happened? Nabi Sallallahu gave him so much attention that he started doing naz and he started making mistakes. So in common language we can say love is spoiling. Love is spoiling. It's normal, it happens. The dilemma, the big problem is when the person takes it even more seriously, starts thinking, no, I am the main person now. There's a shocking story in the times of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and you more likely didn't hear it. It's a very shocking story. I think the person's name, Abdullah bin Abi Sarh. Sin Ra Ha Sarh. He was the writer, one of the writers of Wahi. So when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would get the Quran revelation, he would go to any of the writing Sahaba, 5, 10, 20, whatever they were. So he would tell them, this is the Wahi that I got. They will write it down for him. So one day, I think it was part of Surah Nahl or some other surah, it was revealed, and in there, it was mentioning the creation of the human. The creation of the human is in stages, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it, nutfa, mudgha, all these words are used to hint towards the embryology, the different stages of a baby growing in the stomach of the mother, in the womb of the mother. In the womb of the mother, a person grows in stages. So, and we heard probably in the ayat. So now as the ayat continues, the end of the ayat is Tabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqeen. Allah is Mubarak, He's the greatest of the creators. Ahsanul khaliqeen, the best of the creators. And by the way, creation is when you take known ingredients and you make something out of it. So the guy that made this wooden structure, he's also a khaliq. That's why khaliqeen is okay in the Quran. It doesn't mean there's more gods. It just means there's more creators and people that make items. So Allah is the greatest of them. Otherwise, when you invent something from known ingredients, that's called bari'. So bari' means the one who uniquely make something out of nowhere, out of no known ingredients and so on. That is completely something else. So bari is one, khaliq could be many. So now the ayat finishes with ahsanul khaliqeen, tabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqeen. So now the problem was, as this sahabi was writing, when the ayat was sounding so beautiful, in his mind he thought of the next wording. He said tabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqeen. It just came out of his mouth. And then Nabi Sallallahu said, yeah, write that, that's part of the ayat. Because Nabi Sallallahu didn't say it yet. He just thought about it, the Sahabi, and maybe other parts of the Quran have those kind of words. Now, the Sahabi had a problem. He had a spiritual problem instantly. He said, wait, if what came out of my mouth is wahi, and what you just said, that it is part of the ayat, now we have a problem, A or B. If it's actually an ayat, then that means I'm a Nabi. This person who's a writer, he said, if you are telling the truth that is part of the ayat, that makes me technically a Nabi. And if you're not telling the truth, that makes you a non-Nabi. That makes you a non-Nabi. And this person started thinking about this, and instantly he lost his iman, he walked away from the religion. So the person was inspired, he had ilham, tabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqeen, it came out of his mouth. Nabi Sallallahu said, that is part of the ayat, write it down. He said, wait, if I just thought about an ayat, that makes me a Nabi. So he said, A, either I'm a Nabi, or B, if you're saying it's not part of the ayat, you just made it up, that means you're not a Nabi then. So instantly he left the religion. After many years he came back and became Muslim again. So what happened? Let's think about this. It's a very powerful story. What happened in there? He got too close to the light burned him. He got too close to the light and the light burned him. Because if you are going to be close to a spiritual person, you'll get amazing thoughts. And sometimes there might be even an argument because you're thinking high and now you're thinking, no, I can argue with this guy. This sheikh, I spent a lot of time with him. Now I can argue with him because I sit with him. I have a very funny story, maybe 7-8 years ago. There was an older gentleman, he started coming sitting with me. And he's spending a lot of time with me and he meets other sheikhs. So one day we had a discussion of faraz and sunnah. So I explained the high level the faraz is and the high level the sunnah is, but they're not the same level, there's a slight difference. Because there was a difference, he did not want to hear that. He said, no, sunnah is the same level as faraz. And I said, no, sunnah is very important. I'm not saying sunnah is not important. Sunnah is very, very, very important. But it's not the same level as the faraz. He started arguing, disrespecting me and left. I was like, look at this guy. He's coming to learn the religion. I explained to him the difference. He goes, no, you're wrong. And he thinks I'm disrespecting the religion. By telling him the difference of faraz and the sunnah, he thinks I'm trying to play with the sunnah. No, we love the sunnah, but it's not the same level as the faraz. There's a slight difference. He started arguing with me. So this is what happens when a person stays close to the spiritual source. He starts getting into either trouble or a lot of good thoughts. Umar radiallahu anhu was stuck in this situation often. Because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day said about him, if there was going to be a Nabi after me, it would have been Umar radiallahu anhu. Because he had a very unique way of thinking. And that's why when you study the life of Umar radiallahu anhu, you would recognize there's about 10 to 25 different situations where he anticipated a new revelation coming and it came exactly according to his thoughts. He said there should be ayat coming for niqab or hijab. The ayat came right after that. Many situations, he said, I think there should be ayat coming for this situation because the answer should be something like this. The wahi came right after. But then that got him in some situation where he was making mistakes. Radiallahu ta'ala anhu. In one battle, it became a peace treaty. So in Sulh Hudaybiyah, it's a famous incident. Sulh Hudaybiyah, the peace treaty, he came because Nabi saw a dream that he was doing Umrah. So, but then when they went to do Umrah, the Kuffar said, no, go back to Medina, you're not doing Umrah this year. Now Umar was confused. He's like, oh no, wait, oh Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are the Nabi, you're right. You saw a dream, we were doing Umrah. How come you're stopping now? You saw a dream, we did Umrah. Why are you stopping and being nice to these Kuffar? Let's go to fight. So look at how he's speaking. He said, you saw a dream, you're the Nabi, we have to go fight, we can't stop because the dream you had. And Nabi tells him, no, I saw a dream, but it doesn't mean it has to happen this week or this month. It can happen after 1-2 years. I'm a Nabi, I saw a dream, we did Umrah. It doesn't mean it has to happen today. And Umar was very emotional. He kept going to Abu Bakr, he's like, what's wrong? What is this happening? Why is this happening? He saw a dream. Why are we being so nice to these kuffar? We should go fight them. We should go for Umrah right now. So this is the problem. That's what today's topic is. When the light is too much, we become blinded. You know how when we go in front of a big light, it's too much light, we can't see nothing, we start making mistakes. That's how the religion is sometimes. You get too close to the religion, and you start arguing with the Prophet or the Sheikh that you go to, you're losing the plot. You might have good thoughts, but be careful, you might go off track very soon. And that's why we need to be careful when we are sitting with our shuyukh. Don't become a teacher to the Sheikh himself. Many times when we are sitting with the Sheikh, after a while we're like, yeah, he's my buddy, I tell him these things. Really? He's your student already? For 20 years he studied, you talk about religion for 2 days and now you're his teacher already in 2 years? So we need to be careful with that because it gets really troublesome and a person is not careful. And they start making mistakes and then the adab drops. The adab level drops. And lastly, one side effect of that is where sometimes the sheikh might be so humble, but the people that are working with him, they become very rude over time. The people that are working around the sheikh, they become rude, like, oh, I'm sheikh's best friend, I can do whatever I want now. I'm sheikh's Best friend, I can do whatever I want now. There's no need for that. The Shaykh is a slave of Allah. The Shaykh is a slave of Allah, complete slave. And everybody around the Shaykh is also a slave to Allah. Let's stay slaves. Let's stay slaves. There's no masters, there's no kings. I don't care how big the Shaykh is, he still has to do sujood to Allah. And his friends, his buddies, they're also slaves to Allah. So let's stay humble. May Allah give us something to understand. And may Allah make it easy for us to enjoy a light that we are close to. But may Allah always save us from becoming blinded by the light. Jazakumullah khairan.